that's what this album is. That's what these songs are. My process of lament, my process of suffering with it. Being able to feel my feelings, but not lean.
All right, good morning and welcome to another fresh edition of the newspaper review. Today, Monday, the 30th of August 2021. This is going to be the last Monday in the month of August for this year. It's a fresh new week. You're welcome. If you haven't downloaded the Lagoon Radio app, please do so via all the platforms on Google Play and Apple Store so that you can listen from wherever you are at. You can also watch us live on YouTube at LagoonTV, also on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria. You can also follow us on Instagram at Lagoonradio.Ng. These are all the platforms and mediums with which you can be a part of us. My name is Nena Abigail Mba, but you can call me Abu Abi, and I have my people in the house. We have Kay.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
How's your weekend?
For short, come on me.
Okay, you just came back from camp now. Come on.
Then it was short, like
you didn't sleep. Okay, let's have Favor in the building and Abosede. How you doing, ladies?
You're fine, thank you.
Okay. All right. We're going to be going straight into the paper review. In no particular order. I have the Nigerian Tribune. I have the Leadership newspaper, Daily Times, Daily Asset, Daily Sun newspaper, Business AM. This Nigeria. Nigerian News Direct, Daily Independent, People's Daily, Blueprint newspaper, New Telegraph, This Day, National Economy, Daily Trust, and Business Day. And we're going to try as much as possible to take as much of those newspapers as we possibly can. And we're going to be starting with the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, at the top of the Nigerian Tribune, you can see attack on NDA worrisome. Editors are saying, and that can be found on page 28. The writer under that says, to hold security conference by October 21st and 22nd. If you want to find out more of what this attack is about, you can read up on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. 21-day ultimatum in coalition with MOA. Ngige tells NMA. That can be found on page 2 or so of the Nigerian Tribune. Customs discover pistol, fully loaded magazine inside imported vehicle at Tinkan port. That can be found on page 27. Senator Nala's first son killed in Kaduna. Yes, this news came out by last weekend, about the kidnap and killing of the Senator Nala's first son. And this is a very worrisome news, but you can read up more on that on page 4. Court sacked Taiwo Lakanu, Amcon receiver and manager from Nikon. Okay, so this Nikon issue is still ongoing. It's currently in court. Amcon is trying to take over the property. So they've been going back and forth. So they actually have receipts and all of that, orders, documents, evidences printed on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And that's all you can find on the front page. You can get more details inside of the paper.
Okay, moving on to the leadership newspaper for today. Boldly written on the front page of the newspaper, saying, "We won't recognize your anti-grazing policy." Miyetti Allah tells Southern governors. More news on this can be found on page 4. And the writer under that says it is satanic and will eat up the polity in South for business, not grazing, says the others. He also says that backs federal government on revival of grazing routers reserved. "We will know who is in charge of the state," governors say. We are only governors," they say. This is what the writer has to say concerning this major headline. We can also see the top part of the newspaper saying Zenith Bank grows pre-tax to 117 billion naira in half year in 2021. More news can be found on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. And beneath the paper says CBN's 250 billion naira gas intervention can create 12 million job, experts says. Well, for me concerning this, I feel like experts will continue to say.
Experts will always say.
They always say, but then
the results
counts and matters a lot. And I don't even know if these people listen to the experts themselves, because we usually have experts column in these newspapers, but I don't know if the presidency takes time to actually read it. But we pray that these jobs will maybe to get to us. We didn't know. And also beneath that says banditry is blind to religion, ethnicity, says El Rufai.
So what he's trying to say is that the fact that we have the Fulani headsmen and we can attribute them to Fulanis. He's saying the bandits, we don't know who they are. Yes, they are not Christians, they're not Muslims. We can't say, they are traditional worshippers. They are just faceless people perpetuating evil in the land.
So catch up with that on page 6 of the leadership newspaper. And that is it.
Okay. Favor.
All right, here with me I have the Daily Times newspaper, and at the very top of the page, external reserves hit $33.57 billion as Naira stables at 524 per dollar. Per dollar.
No, dollar. Yeah, right.
You can find more.
But this figure is increasing daily.
They say it's stable. It's stable, no.
It seems to be increasing. I even saw something that said if you want profits in the next years, you should change your money to dollars.
I actually wish someone said this thing about pensions being paid in dollar, because imagine your pension in the next 20 years not being worth anything, because the value of Naira to dollar as at then would have rubbished the money. So you're working so hard, but by the time you're supposed to retire and enjoy your dividend, there's nothing, because the money Naira just keeps devaluing by seconds, So if they can Kokoma pays pension, something like that in dollars, so that by the time we do get there, there's still value for your effort. There's still value for all the time, your years working for anybody. A big paying dollars. Thank you. Continue.
Then we have NMA threatens to join doctor strike if. And the rider under that says issues 21-day ultimatum for implementation of agreements with affiliate members, cautions against victimization of striking resident doctors, threat in collision with MOU signed by medical body Labour Minister. As federal government sets aside 4.8 billion naira for doctors training fund.
You hope they get the money.
And I think there's a picture there.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
the
see ex-president Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes, the newly coronated king of Warri. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure they went to pay their to him.
All right, congratulations to him. And then at the bottom of the page, you have sit at home order, Southeast on red alert, says Umahi. And you can find more on the story on something that looks like 3.
Yeah, so about the sit at home. So since last month or since the last time,
it's been dragging.
Yeah, actually, they have been observing sit at homes every Monday. I think since the beginning of this month, people, IPOP supporters have been on their own, even after it was called off. Every Monday they don't go to work. So Umahi is the governor. He's saying, if you sit at home, just know that you have lost your job. We're not gonna pay you, and we're gonna make sure you lose
Get
your
sacked.
job because who do you expect to do the job? Who do you expect to do all of this? So he's actually warning them. You sit at home, don't even bother coming back to work. That's just it.
PDP will bounce back after national convention.
Colo, sit down, Jerry. What's wrong today? I've always said that PDP makes a terrible opposition party because I keep saying this. They've been in power for so long, they don't know how to be an opposition. They don't know. Rather, they are fighting amongst themselves. They are, ugh, it's a
Facing the wrong
terrible.
enemy.
It's terrible, honestly speaking.
You can see page 34 for more stories. And on business news, Dangote's $2 billion petrochemical plant to produce 77 grades of polyphenolene.
Oh.
And you can see more on the story on page 17 of the Daily Times newspaper. Then at the very bottom of the page, bandits kill Senate Majority's leader's son, Captain IBN Naala.
Yeah, that's a very sad one. I feel like when things like this happen, you would expect the government to sit up. You know, it's one thing for you to be hearing that children were kidnapped, so person was killed, but when it doesn't come close to you, you can't relate. But when
Now it's close to them.
yeah, so I feel like it's
Should
not a
react
good
better.
thing, but I hope this gets them to sit up. Honestly speaking, Abose.
Okay. On the daily asset, federal government loses $5 trillion naira to import waivers. You
We'll
can
continue
find
more on the story.
That can be
Yeah.
continued on page 2.
Plato sitting on time bomb. Monarch cries out. And under it we have Uruguay chiefdom loses over 2,000 to crisis. Also, Lalong orders establishment of police station at Zangam. And assailant kills Senator Nahala's eldest son in Kaduna. You can find okay. Gunmen invade Kwara community, kill one, abduct another. Also, released Tegina Islamia School pupil reunites with parents. You can read that on page 4. States may not have oil money to share to in future stakeholders. You can find that also on page 4. Zungeru Dam under threat as host commodities demand compensation package review. You can also find that on page
6.
6. Sule declares state of emergency on wash in Nasarawa. Also on page 9. 2023 presidency, Southeast mandates strategize for consensus. Also, you can find that on page 20.
I think it's 23.
All right, I'm moving on real quick to the Daily Sun newspaper. Defend yourself against attackers. Khan is advising members. Now, Khan is the body that governs the Christian Association of Nigeria. They are saying defend yourself against attackers. My question is it a spiritual defense? Is it a physical defense?
What
Is it
kind
that
of
we
defense?
should carry Bible and put on our forehead, or we should go and buy cutlass? What is the defense? Because the Bible says that the weapons
Yeah, our weapons are not
it's not carnal. So how are we supposed? We're not supposed to be fighting amongst ourselves or against ourselves. Is it now? Do we now start fighting spiritually? I feel like I want to get details on this defense that Khan is advising, but you can find it on page 7 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Statement on non-proscription of bandits. Presidency under fire. The writer under that says Middle Belt Group, Afenifere, Ohaneze, others describe governors or government reason untenable strange. Leave IPOB, ESN alone. Save students from bandits in North. Anglican Bishop is saying to the federal government. All of this can be found in page 6 and page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Nigerian existing only in name now. Methodist Archbishop, you. Yeah, say
Like I feel like this.
The Christian body.
it's
they
only
started
name
They are
have.
talking.
They
They
need
have a
to.
lot to say.
They actually need to, so that it doesn't feel like they are always quiet when Christ is, and I hope people can remember this. I hope people will refer to this when they start what's the word now, when they start coming for pastors, who are not speaking up. I hope they can see that people are actually lending their voices. Well, that can be found on page 27. Governors, Kalu, Uniben, others mourn Victor Owaifo. Yes. And the story under that, my father's death not caused by COVID-19, musician's son. That is on page 28. Now, when I was just scrolling, I think it was on Friday. I can't remember what day in particular, but I remember seeing this news. I'm like, oh, I felt like he just died of old age because Baba has stayed. Baba has been alive for long. So when I heard the story, when I then saw that, oh, it was COVID, I'm like, oh, okay. Then his son came out to say he didn't die of COVID. His father died. Okay, now I can't remember exactly what, but it wasn't COVID. Now I feel like everybody who dies, they're just trying to attribute COVID to. I don't know what's the point. I try to make people afraid. What is the point of not coming down to find out what killed this person? When what's her name, Regina Onega, died, they said it was COVID, but her family came out and said she died of heart problems, not COVID. It was nothing related to COVID. So every time somebody dies, they just say it's COVID, and I don't know why they're doing these things. It doesn't make sense. Are they trying to add to the number of deaths? Really? They should not go and count people that have already died before a mortuary and give us as numbers. Okay, Middle Belt Forum alleges plot by federal government to declare state of emergency in Benue. That can be found on page 8. NMA threatens to join doctor strike, gives federal government 21 days to resolve issues. The rider under that says government fought ultimatum. APC states to establish health emergency trust fund. That also can be found on page 8. Nigerians' foreign transactions dropped to 16 billion naira. That can be found on page 25. Editors charge government to be proactive, creative in security management, and to fix the annual conference on security in October. Zenith Bank PBT rises to 117 billion naira in H1 2021. And lastly, on the Daily Sun newspaper, gunmen kills senator's son, 4 others in Kaduna Rivers as troops rescue 3 kidnapped victims. That can be found on page 4 of Daily Sun newspaper.
So moving on to the next newspaper, Nigerian News Direct, boldly written of the headline says ICPC recovers 53 billion naira from real estate developer for FBN Nigeria. And the writer on that says we are not aware. So they are coming publicly to say they are not aware of the recovery of this sum of money from ICPC. You can find more news on this from page 2 of the News Direct newspaper, Nigerian News Direct. And boldly written on the top part of the page says, give peace a chance. Buhari pleads with Jos, other worrying communities.
Honestly speaking, what's happening in Jos in Plateau, it's really disheartening.
More news on this can be found on page 4 of the Nigerian News Direct. You can also check out page 4, still saying Delta APBN writes Governor Okowa on multiple taxes. You can read up on these on page 4. Dangote, Oni, Ibiyemi and others elogize Governor Abiodun's late father. More news on this can be found on page 25 of the Nigerian News Direct. And under that says Dangote's $2 billion petrochemical plant to produce 77 grades of polypropylene. Yeah. Well, whatever I don't want to use this one for. Well, read up on page 4 of the News Direct newspaper. And Zenith Bank declares 2.6% increase in profits. Is it those that are just opening the bank, or those that have money already, or those that want to bank with them?
No. I mean, it's themselves as an organization, as a company.
They increase their profits.
Yes, they are making money.
It is well. More news on this can be found on page
18.
18 of the Nigerian News Direct. And finally, 21 days ultimatum contravenes agreement over doctor strike, says federal government. Check out page 4 to read more of this news.
Okay, we're gonna go down to the People's Daily Favor because we're already out of time. Time is leaving us.
Okay, the People's Daily newspaper should be at the back or the front. Okay, for the People's Daily newspaper, it says banditry, restrictions on fuel, bikes in Zamfara remain, says the police, and you can find that on page. Abigail, please help me.
Okay, yes, restriction.
The page. I think it looks like page 3.
5.
Okay,
Why this thing is so tiny?
it's funny I can't even see the story, but continue, please.
I didn't do-
Okay, it's on page 5. Yes,
Page 5.
it's on page 5.
That'd be nice.
So Kano teen bride gets pardon 7 years after killing husband. Very wonderful story to read on page 8 of the People's Daily newspaper. And report on killing of 230 Igbos in Jos is fake, says the police. And you can find more on the story on page 2. Be more proactive, creative on security, NGE tells government. You can find more on page 5. Obaseki plans special force to reclaim forests from bandits. Says, you can find that on page 7 of the People's Daily newspaper. NDLEA arrests man for ingesting 87 wraps of cocaine. Another drugs issue. You can find more on the story on page 4. And Senator Naala's son killed by gunmen in Kaduna. You can find more on the story on page 7.
Okay, and then moving on to the New Telegraph newspaper. FX policy, banks grapple with surge in fake visas. Ooh, wonder. H1, Zenith Bank posts 117 billion pre-tax profit that can be found on page 4 of the New Telegraph. Kogi procures Nigeria's first hyperbaric oxygen treatment chamber that can be found on page 5 or 6? 6. Okay. Governor stifling multi-billion-dollar herbal medicine sector, NIPRD, saying, okay, so that we should be taking a good as general. So, all right, it's actually, I think it works. I mean, before now, our forefathers only survived on herbs, vegetables, and they lived long. So yeah, I think that's a good one, and that can be found on page 4. Fan contractors panic over 40 billion naira loan default. That can be found on page 3 of the New Telegraph. Gunmen strangle Senator Nala's elder son in his bedroom.
Wow. I think this one is more detailed than the rest.
Yeah. Well, you can continue. You can find out more on page 30 of the New Telegraph. Southeast APC chieftains float pressure group for presidency. That can be found on page 3. The rider under that says lack of trust, latent fear, others holding zone down politically. Islamia abduction. TB Joshua died
The day he asked for bank account to pay 200 million naira ransom at teacher and parents. Oh, I think he wanted to try to rescue some of the abducted. So the day he asked the person for the account number,
they kill him.
that's the day he died.
Wow.
Sorry.
No civilized religion encourages adherents to fight for God. Kaigama says world watching Nigeria with bewilderment. Federal government plotting state of emergency in Benue State, MPF alleges. But when they say state of emergency, why do they refer to it as plotting? Is this supposed to be a bad thing if honestly things are going wrong in that state? Well, you can find out more on page 4 and 8. Study has come out to show that common pesticide raises obesity risk. Oh Lord, have mercy. Maybe it's the fleets that have been using, but that's one.
So what should we now use?
Oh Lord, we're not going to kill ourselves. That can be found on page 8. We're way out of time. But I hope you enjoyed the newspaper review. If you're just joining in and you've missed something, you can always catch up with us on YouTube at LagoonTV. We stream this live, so you can watch it. Also on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria. Don't forget to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Lagoonradio.Ng, or same on Twitter. All right, coming up next is the moment of truth with the Venerable Henry Adelego. And after that, we're going to have the burning issues, if we can find what to burn. And of course, the midday prayer comes right after that. Do not go anywhere. Stay connected. Enjoy your morning.